Hey. So he says, and there's another way we can say the pirush of V'chochma Techaye. He wants to say that the chochma has also a higher level in which it is mechaye, so that it brings down within chochma the level of chaye within chochma. It explains like this: this is similar to what's explained elsewhere. The pnimius abba davkihu pnimius atik, which means that the pnimius of chochma specifically is the pnimius of atik of keser, which means that the pnimius of atik comes down in chochma. Chochma techaye is referencing that pnimius, that the chayis of the chochma is the pnimius atik, is the level of the atik of keser. Asher bechina zu hu pnimius hatainug elyon. This is the pnimius, because this is hatainug elyon. This is the delight, as we've spoken about many times, that the rotzin is the external, the want is the expression, the external from the delight, because there is a delight, there is enjoyment, a pleasure. That's why there is a want. That's why there is a rotzin, so to speak. The Eibush is rotzin for Torah mitzvahs comes because of the delight of the above. That's the pnimius atik. Shaharotzin nikra achurayim legabe b'china zu. The rotzin is called achurayim relative to that level, to the level of tainug. Rotzin is called achurayim. That's the hind, because that's all the result. So I'm going to say like this. So Bechlal, we know that there are 32 Nisivas Chochma, Lamed Beis paths of wisdom. So he's going to say that it's brought down in the Kabbalah's form is brought down that 31 Nisivas, that's the source of the 310 worlds. That's Gan Eden, all the various different shayilmas that the Eibishter has for the tzaddikim level of chokhmah that is mispashid. But the 32nd one, the one level, which is the highest level, which is higher than his pashtus, that's the level of atik, that's the level of the primis. The hine shay oilamos, those are, it says lahanchil oyhava yesh. So the Gemara darshans, Hashem says there is anchal, so he says that the yesh is shay oilamos. Those are the 310 worlds. Nimshochim, they come in lamed aleph nisivos chokhmah. From the 31 passes of chokhmah, there is 32, but the shay oilamos come from the 31. Mashen kenan nisiv harishain, as opposed to the first one, hu l'maylo mibchinas shay oilamos. That's higher than the shay oilamos. K'mei shekosub b'migdash melech, as it says in the Migdash Melech in Parshas Mitzvah. Behind us, so he explains, because that level, that's the inner of Abba, that's the Atik, that's the inner of Chochmah. Lamed Beis, we saw this. Pirush Lamed Beis in the Sives, Pirush B'Sefer Yitzira. In the Sefer Yitzira, why do we say there are 32 paths? Why? What's the number 32? So he says there's 22 letters of the Aleph base, plus the 10 spheres. 10 and 32, 10 and 22 is 32. That's how we get the 32 paths. From the level of Chokhmah comes all the letters of the Torah and everything, which has 22 letters, plus the 10 spheres. So first comes the 10 spheres within Chokhmah, the 10 spheres of Chokhmah, then comes the 22 letters of the Torah. the first of the letters, the first of the spheres, which is basically Chochma Shebe Chochma. That's the Pnimius of a Chochma. That's the level of Atik. That's the one level which is higher than the Lamed Beis. Lamed Beis Nesivas Pirish B'Sefer Yitzira. The 32 Nesivas explains Sefer Yitzira. That is Eser Spheres. The Bechol Beis Oisius. Those are the 10 spheres and the 22 letters. Imkein Hanesiv Horishain. So therefore, if so, the first path, that is the highest level in the 10 spheres of Chokhmah, is the level of Chokhmah Shebe Chokhmah from the 10 spheres. So the pasuk says that the highest level, Elikim, the highest level in Elikim, Ayin L'Roso. Besides Hashem, nobody can see it, which means that it's a level of Atik which is not mispashet. Ayin L'Roso. So he explains like this, because the word Elikim, there's 32 times Elikim mentioned by Yar Elikim, by Yemer Elikim in the act of creation. There's 32 times Elikim. And there is a level of Elikim which is higher. That's the 32nd. That's the first level. There's Lamed Aleph which connect, and there's one higher. Lamed Beis Nesivos Chochma, Hem Lamed Beis Elikim Shebe Ma'aseh Bereshis. Those are the 32 times Elikim, which is Ma'aseh Bereshis. And here we're saying Ayin L'Ros Elikim. So V'lochein Nikra V'Torah Oir. That's why it's called the Torah, because that provides the light Chochma of Torah. Chochma Nafkis provides the light. But umachmas koyach hazeh shebepnimius Abba, and for this special koyach that we're saying now, we have the higher level, that because of pnimius Abba, and that's why that level, which means the Chochmat means you will get, the Chochma will get from the higher level, that level of Rotzin, through the revelation of Tainuk, through the revelation of Atik. Further, you can look about the idea in Zohar, Chele Gimel Chukas Kupe Beis Amud Aleph Ubaramaz Shom Hamshochas Bechinas Chaye. And weiter Ube Emek Hamelech. Over there it says Shar Ava Eim Soiv Perik Mem Dalet Daf Ein Ches Amud Gimel V'Daf Kuf Lamates Amud Pirish Techaye. He says over there Chochmat Techaye Hashpos Chaye. That's the flow of the level of Chaya, I guess, of Chaya Chida, of the soul. Ayin Oid Zayer Chelik Gimel Pinchos Daf Reish Nun Hey Beis. Okay, so we have the Chochma, we have the Rotzin Elyon, we have the Tainug Elyon. All comes down into the level of Chochma Techaya. Later on, all this comes to the level of Malchus through Zoh. It comes from Chochma down. Kol ze nimshach achar kach lebchinas Malchus. This all comes to the level of Malchus. Ayidei Zoh, and that takes place in the parshas V'hoyo im Shomoya. First, this is the second parsha of the Shema, V'hoyo im Shomoya, Kabbalas Oil HaMitzvos. The first parsha of Shema is accepting the Eibishter Malchusi, accepting Hashem Echad, accepting the Eibishter's kingdom, that the Eibishter is the God. The second parsha is accepting his mitzvahs. Shemaya Tishmu. So what happens when we do mitzvahs? We have the mitzvahs are Ramach Eivorim. Those are the 248 limbs. What does it mean? A limb draws down. So the same thing over here too. K'moi shebe'ever nimshach oir v'chayis al derech moshel. By way of example, within a limb, the limb brings down light and energy. Oir v'chayis. Al derech moshel k'shayat kiseves. When the hand writes, so it's not detached from the seichel. Wants to say Malchus is connected with the intellect, with level of Chokhmah, because it's the Chokhmah was in the Malchus. So even in the Maisa, in the Aver, in the limb, you have the Seichel in it. Kach beramach evorim. Likewise, when we talk about the 248 limbs of the Eberster, which is the 248 mitzvahs, nimshach ramach hamshachas. Then it comes down 248 hamshachas. V'shorsham hey chasodim. The root of them is the hey chasodim. Now the word, I happen to note, the word chesed is also 72. The gematria of chesed. Samach and ches is 68 and 4 is 72. So that's the name of Ab. The hey chasodim name Ab. Ab Gishorim, this is a language that is used in the part of the ceremonium, that it says that that is the 72 bridges to pass the Mamer Chesed from the Hey Chsodim that come Milmailo. Basically, what he's heading at is saying the first parsha is the elevation, is the Sarusa Dilatato that comes from below to above. The second parsha is being mamshich from above to below through the mitzvahs, the Ramach Vorim. That is meant that you're bringing down the Eichasodim. The elevation is called the Shem Mab, Shem Mem Beis. That's the elevation to bring about the Sarusa Dilatato from below to be mamshich the Shem Ab. Mab is Sarusa Dilatato. Ab is Amshocha Mil Maila Lamata. V'lochein beparsha Aleph, in the first parsha Ksiv, u'b'chol ma'itcha, v'lo parsha Shniya, but not in the second, not v'ahavta. In Shema, it says v'ahavta Shem Elokecha b'chol levav, b'chol nafshecha. It also says u'b'chol ma'idecha, but not in the second parsha. It doesn't say. It says v'ahavta b'chol levav, b'chol nafshecha. Doesn't say over there b'chol ma'idcha. Because ki parsha Aleph, the first parsha Hushem Mab, that's the number 42. Said before that if there's 42 words from V'ahavta Eis Hashem Elokecha B'chol Levav B'chol Nafshecha, 42 words. Shehu lehalo, that is made for elevation, as it says. B'shtayim yichase, this is by the Merkava, with two yichase, which is the level of Allah. V'lochein, and that's why also b'kriya Shema Emrim ono b'choyach gedulas. We say there in the Shema Yisrael ono b'choyach lalois nishmosei b'shina, because then also we want to elevate the soul by when you go to sleep. That's why we say ono b'choyach. B'chein koydem Kabbalah Shabbos, and also before Kabbalah Shabbos we say ono b'choyach. Before L'chodoidi you say ono b'choyach. Why? Because on Shabbos is an elevation. So that's the Shem Mab, elevation. Ono b'choyach has 42 words in it also. That's the number 42, the Shem Mab. And Ba'alot tzorich liyos b'bchinas ein sof. So why is it b'chol meidecha? Because when you do a halacha, you have to have all the ways into the level to the Ein Sof. After having Ein Sof, You have to dig in deeper. You have to be b'chol medacha. V'lochein kol echad tzarich limtzei ba'atzmoi b'ritzoynoi b'chinas ein sof. So you have to find in yourself, if you need to get to the Ein Sof, you have to tap into your own Ein Sof, to your own B'chol Ma'idcha, your own Bligvul. Kidei she'yoyrer l'maylo. In order to arouse from above of Ein Sof, you must find Ein Sof in yourself. She'im loikein, because if you don't arise that level, Ein shaychus l'mitzvahs gashmim la'oyrer l'maylo. So there is no connection. You do a physical mitzvah through the physical mitzvah to be ma'ir above just by putting on the talis, doing a physical act. Putting on the talis, you bring it down. What's the connection? How do you bring down for the Ein Sof? And when you vitalize, when you give tzedakah, you give the spirit of the low, below, so you cause above to be hamshich. How does it connect? The mitzvah gashmi is below. Putting on a talis, you'll be mamshich sof. You're giving tzedakah over here, lamato, you're mamshich, la'achis ruch shvom, you're mamshich chayis. It only comes because you're ma'oder, you're bligvul. That's the way you're b'chol ma'odcha. How could it be a connection below with what's going on above? More than your limitation. If you go more than your limitation, then you go beyond the limitation of above also. This is also the idea from the depth, which means your bligvul, your depth, and then you tap in Krasich Hashem to get from the highest level. By Yosef, it's written by Yilakit Yosef as Kol HaKesef. Yosef, when he went down to Mitzrayim, over there, he was able to collect all the silver. Basically, the Kesef is talking about the Hamshochas from the Chesed that comes Milamaylo. So Yosef collected it through the level of Mitzrayim. And he came to the level of Mamakim Krosicha. He was able to reach in deeper in his bligvul. That's the way to bring down the Echesodim. Which means, and the Kabbalah says that he collected the kesef, he collected chesed. How does the kesef from Mitzrayim connect to the level of chesed milamaylo, which we're saying the Echesodim? So how is the chesed connected to the kesef? It says that he was the dominant, he provided the food. What's the connection? And that's the way he collected the kesef. It is all because he was in Mitzrayim. So so this from the you can bring down in the second portion of the Shema, the Heichasodim, the five Chosodim, which is the Shem Ab, I said before, which is the Ayin Beis Gishorim, Lavar Meimah Chesed, the 72 bridges to bring down the waters of Chesed to be Mamshich, the level of Chesed Heichasod. In the Parsha Shni, it says, "V'nosati metar artzchem," gives the rain of artzchem. So, meaning bringing down the level into artzchem, into malchus. Artzchem hu b'chinas malchus. That's the level of malchus, because shenaglo yerdus, which means that the descent from the level of Malchus comes down into the world. So while it's Malchus, it comes down into the Eretz, into Biyah, and there is Metar Artzechem, Yeshbo Metar. So here it teaches, Motor means rain, but over here it teaches, Yeshbo Metar Meloshin Mitruniso. It has rain from the language of Matruniso, queen, which means that there is Umalchusa. It's talking about the queen, meaning talking about Hashem's kingdom, Bakol Mosholo. In other words, to bring down this level into the queen, to bring it down into the land, into the level of Biyah. How does this power that there should be Metar Artzechem? By bringing down the 5 chasodim in the 248 mitzvahs that we do. Over there, the supreme delight is dressed up. Through this, you will gather your grain. That she has the koyach to be mevarer the berur menega into this world. Again, this is a shorter version of the Mamer, the source of the Mamer before.